I mean, I think a lot of us they call it our why.
Right.
So, if the reason that you're pursuing something is strong enough, you'll run straight through all the obstacles and setbacks and fear that may get in your way. That's just the bottom line. But it has to be strong.
Welcome to the Creative Entrepreneurs Podcast, where it's all about turning your unique talents and perspectives into a viable business. And now, your host, Paris Hamilton.
All right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 27 of the Creative Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Paris Hamilton, and I'm very excited to be here with you today because in this particular episode, I'll be having a nice little discussion with my special guest, Marcel Benson from the Benson Watch Company. So, he's making exclusive luxury watches worthy of being collectibles. Mr. Benson has expressed his interest in wanting to share his story with you all and inspire others to get started on their own journey. So I'm more than happy to provide him with a platform to do so. And without further ado, I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself.
Hey, everyone out there. My name is Marcel Benson. I am the founder of the Benson Watch Company. The company was founded, purely out of my affinity for watches. But I didn't want to just create a surface level business. I also wanted to use these watches to inspire others. So I came up with the mantra that time should be spent doing what you love. That mantra is a way to remind me of why I'm doing what I'm doing and to also inspire the masses to do the same. So these watches, like I said, are metaphoric and they're conduits to kind of drive that message out to the masses. Each watch has the mantra engraved on the case back. And people, we always get feedback from people just saying that every time they look down at their watch, they're reminded to stay focused and take control of their time because they're thinking about the story behind the brand. So
Right.
I'm looking forward to kind of chatting with with Paris and just kind of getting that word out there, inspiring a few folks. Hopefully, our conversation touches quite a few lives.
Okay. So before we get into talking about the Benson Watch Company where you're at now, can you give me a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey up to this point? So any of the pros and cons, ups and downs that you've had before you started the Benson Watch Company?
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah. Prior to starting the Benson Watch Company, I was a student. But I would consider myself, a serial entrepreneur. Prior to that, I was, just kind of dabbling in a ton of different things. When you're younger, you're really just kind of trying to figure things out. So I can go back as far as high school where I used to, sell CDs, or even further, back before that, selling candy in elementary school, and then transitioning into college. I actually had two businesses um, during the time that I was in college. They were moderately successful, but things just kind of leveled out. Once a few circumstances took place. But I had a waste a valet waste service company in college, which was simply um, you know we would contract a few classmates and I would contract with local apartment buildings and pretty much handle the delivery of trash to the to the dumpster from the actual doorstep. So a lot of apartment buildings, they have rules as to when the tenants are able to put their trash out, and usually they call for it to be out you know not before a certain time, and typically 8 o'clock. So, around that time is when it starts getting dark and becoming less safe for, say, a single woman to take her trash out, to the dumpster. So that's where we came in and provided that, door to dumpster service. And it, went well for a little while. And then, obviously, since the um, apartment buildings were paying for it directly out of their budget, when things weren't going so well in the economy, that was the first thing to go. So we collectively decided that, it wasn't something that we were super passionate about anyway. And we'll probably talk more about passion later, but, we were just doing it just to try to make money. And within that same, realm, my roommate and I actually started a company that provided rental services to students. So students that were thinking about moving off campus, we were providing, a discounted rate for apartment buildings, and different properties that landlords throughout the Atlanta metro area may have had. And then we were charging, the first month's rent as our compensation. So that went well for a little bit, and of course, eventually declined. And then, it was when I finished school that I realized that, my passion was in watchmaking. I had collected probably about 100 watches, since I was a kid, and just decided that I wanted to create something that I did anyway. I collected watches for free. I actually spent money to collect watches, so I decided to start designing them, and use them to impact the lives of so many people.
Okay. So when you say you started designing them, are you a good artist?
So I am not a born artist, I don't believe, but I did train myself. Like you can literally learn to draw. From just picking up every sketchbook possible. I remember being in middle school and like literally not being able to draw at all, to being able you know, to now, drawing up full designs for watches. Only excluding the movement design,
Right.
but the actual aesthetic of the watch, created 100% by me.
So when you were collecting watches as a kid, was that something you did with family members or friends?
No, it was really just me. But my family members always did notice that I had a different watch on.
Gotcha.
And that that's why it's kind of they're not surprised that I'm doing what I'm doing now. Um, but yeah, it was just me. A lot of my friends and family members were into collecting things like shoes and
Right.
and other things that are popular amongst us.
So when you started getting into watches, did you already know how the watches were made, or is that something that you also had to learn kind of in the process of doing it?
Yeah, I mean it's just I've learned so much over the years about watches. From the history of watchmaking to the the differences between the movements and stuff like that. Obviously when I was a kid, I wasn't that into that. It was just really the aesthetics
Right.
of the watch. And I gravitated a lot to the higher end watches. For some, I think it was mainly because of the simplicity that a lot of them offered. I was never really into like a super busy watch.
Yeah.
But I just liked something that just looked like it had excellent quality, and kind of had a striking case. So
Yeah. Because for a lot of people who decide to embark on their own entrepreneurial journey with some type of product, they some people get scared because they might not already know how to put a full product together. Um,
mhm.
and there's that barrier there that they have to overcome. Is there any advice that you would give somebody who might be scared and not knowing? They might have a passion for wanting to do something, but they don't actually know how to overcome that obstacle of needing to learn kind of as you go.
Right. Well, my first bit of advice would be simply just to get over the fear. Right. It's literally just you deciding to get over it. It's not something that that truly exists as a tangible thing. Fear is kind of like a signal. It kind of shows you what you need to actually be doing.
Yeah. So like an
When you
internal
when you
trigger.
when you exactly. So when you start to feel fear, it's because you're doing something that's going to challenge you or push you beyond what you're comfortable doing. So and you'll always find out this, that after you do that very thing, you realize that it wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally every situation that you feel fear, unless it's like fear for your life, things that real fears that exist amongst human beings, like like maybe loud noises or like fear for your life. But when we're talking about making a decision to do something to better yourself, it's fear is not really, it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
It's just a signal. So once you do that thing, you'll you're your capacity to handle fear starts to expand. And then, just doing that consistently will lead to, where you're ultimately trying to go.
Yeah. So just
Um,
taking action is what gets you out of your comfort zone initially.
yes, continue to take action, continue to seek out things that make you scared.
Yeah.
And do those very things.
Right.
It's really that simple. Obviously, you know, being well versed in different things helps you present yourself more confidently. In those areas that you may have a little bit of fear in. So, like, say you have to go speak and give a speech about your business or pitch your business. Obviously, the more you know about the industry, the more you know about what you want to say. The more confidently you can present yourself.
Right. Right. So speaking of pitches for business, so tell me a little bit more about the mission and the purpose behind Benson Watch Company. I know, um, I feel like I read something where some of the proceeds go to a certain social cause, maybe.
Yes. So, we started. It started off as me, individually volunteering as a business competition judge within some of the local high schools. They do these business competitions where the students, they have mentors and they learn how to put together a business plan, and then they pitch it, to their peers and the faculty. And from there, there's a panel of judges, that decides who advances or who had the best pitch, and then they ultimately go to another round, and then there's like a state competition, and then from there, um, the winner is actually awarded funding, and that was our job to provide that funding. And we're trying to expand. We're trying to because we were working under another organization doing that. We're in the process now of building our own competition and providing the funding that way. So we're just kind of keeping it strictly in house.
I got you. So tell me how you got started with the funding to make these watches.
Oh man, it's a wonderful platform, called Kickstarter.com. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard of it, but for those who haven't, it's a platform that allows you, to leverage the public, your friends, family members, by offering, a sample of what you're creating, what you're ultimately trying to create and pitch to the world, and they're able to donate money to your project or your business. The initial goal was $10,000, and we wound up raising 12,000. And it came simply from just reaching out to my sphere of influence. So just kind of looking at the resources that I already had. A lot of people, um, you know, they look at their current situation and they look at what they want to do and they see how much it may cost, and their immediate response is just how am I going to get the money? I don't have the money. But if you've gone to school, or not even college, but just if you've gone to high school and you kept or maintained honorable relationships, a lot of times people don't mind helping someone that's trying to do more for themselves out. But it takes reaching out to those people, being honest, and not doing it just to ask for money, but really developing and nurturing those relationships. So I'll just give you an example of what I did. I took the time to make a list of, you know, um, you know, just all the people that I would see come across my feed on Facebook, and just try to brainstorm some sort of encounter we may have had over the years. And then I would reach out to them just like, hey, how's everything going? I see you had a child, or I see you got married. I remember that time that we were hanging out in lunch and goofing off or whatever. Just to kind of get just to kind of get that rapport, get them thinking about how you guys used to be cool or connected. And then once that's established, maybe the same day or maybe the next day or week, you come in and you say that, hey, I'm working on this exciting new project. This new business is going to change a lot of lives. And I would love, to use your network if possible. Is there anybody that you think that would be interested in this? So when you ask it in that way, you're getting them to, of course, offer, somebody, they'll think of a few people, and then they'll typically also, want to be a part of it as well. So by doing that, sending those individual emails to about 100 plus people, I was able to get people, excited and geared up about, this watch company that I was starting. So by the time that I had, finished the campaign, I had gotten, some beautiful renderings, which are, computer generated pictures of the watches. I got those created. I wrote up the blurb or the story about the brand, and then I got a video shot to just kind of add some life to it. And then I just went ahead and posted it on Kickstarter. I reached back out to those people, that I reached out to personally, and it's like, hey, the campaign's up. Would love, if you check it out, and just just left it at that. And then over the course of 30 days, just kind of following up with people, and getting people to to commit to checking it out led to me raising about $12,000 to get the initial inventory.
Oh,
So,
okay.
um, of course, I wasn't, people weren't just giving me, money. There was an incentive offered, and that was the watch that I was creating at a discounted rate. So prior to actually getting the watches, I was able to raise the money to get the watches, um, and then give the people that donated their watches, and there were still quite a bit of watches left over for me to profit from.
Right, right. So you actually brought up some good points that I kind of wanted to touch on. The first one I wanted to talk about was you mentioned your sphere of influence. And
Yes.
I want to know if before reaching out to those people, if you had any fear going into that, because I know some people are
Hmm.
kind of hesitant to reach out to the people they're closest with out of fear
Hmm.
of they might reject the idea and might look at them kind of sideways if they come at them trying to ask for money for something.
Hmm.
But did you have
Right.
any fear going into that before you reached out to these people?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, to say that fear, never entered my mind, would definitely be a lie. There were times where yeah, I had those same questions, like what are people going to think? And then there's some people that may have already created this image of themselves, and to be this successful person, and they may not feel like reaching out is, they may feel like reaching out like that is beneath them or whatever. There's so many different things that can prevent somebody from taking those kind of
Right.
actions. But what I realized is that if you let those things consume you, entrepreneurship is not for you, because there's a lot of uncomfortable things and positions that you have to put yourself in, to be successful. It's not always going to feel natural and comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a lot of times a thought will come to your mind, and you'll shoot it down because you don't want to do that thing. Like, you don't feel comfortable doing that thing, or you don't see how doing that one thing will have an immediate effect. But it's kind of like, it's chewing away at you. You feel it.
Right.
I feel like a lot of, and just in business and in life, a lot of the right things to do, you kind of already know. You know what I mean? It's just about acting on that and getting over the fear.
Right.
So, like I said, my advice will always be to just get over it. It's really simple. There's no like special strategy or secret to getting over the fear. You just have to decide. You just have to decide that what you're pursuing is worthwhile, and you don't currently have the money, or you don't currently have um, you know the available resources to make it happen. So you have to figure out, how can I dig into my current situation, and and make this happen.
So we've kind of mentioned getting over your fears in a couple of different aspects already. So do you think that's where passion and motivation come in to kind of offset that fear, and you realize that kind of what you can gain from this outweighs the fear that's holding you back?
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us, they call it our why.
Right.
So, if the reason that you're pursuing something is strong enough, you will. you'll run straight through all the obstacles and setbacks and fear that may get in your way. That's just the bottom line. But it has to be strong
Yeah.
because fear can appear strong.
It can't just
So
be something
you need
that's,
something.
it can't be something surface level that's like, my why is I just want to make some money. It has to be something a little bit deeper than that,
Yeah,
something that you might
yeah,
even get kind of
it,
emotional about when you think of.
exactly. Because if you just want to make money, then if it feels a little uncomfortable, you'll try to figure out another way. You'll try to you'll make up in your mind that this is it's not worth it.
Right.
Um, but when you have a when there so with me, I have a few things that kind of drive me. Taking care of my family, inspiring others is a huge driver. I come from a place where a lot of people are kind of down on their luck. A lot of people are not really leading the lives that they would like to, and just kind of seeing some of the things that I saw in my household and in the area that I grew up in, just wanted me, just kind of built a fire in me to just want to motivate people to want more for themselves.
Right.
And I carry that with me in everything that I do, every interview that I have. I'm not sure if you can feel it in this interview, but it's just a passion. Like I really want people to kind of step up and and do what they're meant to do. So many people that never reach their potential because of fear, because you know they don't really see themselves as a person that could necessarily attain these things. But it's really no special person that's worth attaining success. It's just a matter of deciding to do it, follow the rules.
Right. Right. And even just you uh, implementing on the goals that you've set for yourself, as far as creating the Benson Watch Company, even people who see you doing those things, people from your past or your hometown, they might still just be inspired by you doing those things, seeing that it is possible.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
one other thing that you mentioned is that in your Kickstarter campaign, you had computer generated images of the watches. So, I was kind of
Right.
initially, I feel like I have seen the page for your Kickstarter campaign, and they look like real watches. Like I thought you had prototypes of your watches before
Yeah.
your Kickstarter campaign. So
Right.
I'm guessing that's not the case. You didn't have prototypes, right?
No, I didn't. I
So,
didn't at
so
all.
where did you find someone to do the computer generated images for the watches?
It was really just trial and error. The manufacturer was able to take my sketches and pretty much just enhance them into renderings.
Hmm.
But finding that manufacturer was trial and error. I was on different watch blogs, having conversations with different people in different watch blogs, and I was able to eventually stumble across the right manufacturer. But I think this is a great teaching moment because it kind of speaks to a place where a lot of people get stuck.
Right.
A lot of people, if if all their ducks are not in a row, like if like so say me not having a prototype, right? Me not having the physical watch, that may have hindered someone. They're like, okay, well, how could I get a Kickstarter campaign, started if I don't have the actual watch? How could I sell a watch if I don't have the actual watch? So you have to kind of improvise, like, okay, well, let me see if I can, figure out a way to get an image of this watch and show people what I'm trying to do and just getting started instead of waiting around. You have to kind of get in the habit of just working with what you have and trying to maximize it. So really just kind of like analyzing your current situation and just seeing like what do you currently have. You know where you're trying to go, but what do you currently have, and what are you using it to the best of your ability? Are you taking full advantage of every opportunity that you have in front of you, or do you just want it all to just happen at one time for you?
Right. And I agree with you. This is a place where a lot of people do get stuck and thinking they need the prototypes or finding a manufacturer for their product. So I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper into that one because I know someone who is kind of getting stuck, someone who has a product idea. So they want to do like a clothing line, swimsuit line, things like that. but they're having
Mm-hmm.
an issue. They've contacted different manufacturers and they've gotten mixed feedback from those manufacturers. So would you suggest kind of, if someone has a product idea and they're looking for a manufacturer, that they should kind of find blogs around that idea and kind of reach out to those people? Or is there another way to find manufacturers for different products?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways. So the ones I'm using now, I was introduced to the person, you know, introduced to the manufacturer through someone I met on a blog. I mean, but there are, for product-based businesses, there are, resources like, Alibaba.com. There's thomasnet.com. There's, Small Business Administration, that has an arm that, that kind of, handles, manufacturing search for different industries. So
Hmm.
there are resources readily available, that can pop up from, a simple Google search. I think it's the vetting that you probably want to concern yourself most about. Like, is this
Right.
manufacturer, the proper fit for me? So just asking the right questions to kind of gauge, whether or not, um, you know, this manufacturer would even work for you. So say starting out, you want to, you want to start a bathing suit company, like you said, or a swimsuit company, um, and you probably only have a budget for about 20 to 50 bathing suits. You want to make sure that you find a manufacturer that's willing to lower their MOQ, their minimum order quantity, MOQ, to that amount. There's some that may require you to order 1,000 pieces or 500 pieces, or something of that sort. So really, just like I said, just doing the search. Like I said, Google is a it seems simple, but you can really figure these things out just by Google, like searching it on Google. But once you get the numbers of the emails, reaching out to these people and asking them pointed questions, to make sure that you're finding somebody that suits your needs, and
Right.
then and then just you just go from there.
Right. So the manufacturer that you
But
found is basically a part of your team now, right? Because you come up with an idea, you present the idea to the
yes,
manufacturer, they kind of help
yeah,
you generate the rendering and give you an idea of what it's going to look like, right?
yes, and that's also a very important point, and something to consider. When you're doing your vetting, like how hands on is this manufacturer going to be? Like you would think that most manufacturers would be, super hands-on, because your success equals their success, obviously. Because the more you're ordering, the more money they're making.
Right.
So you would think they'd be a lot more hands-on, but that's not the case. Like some are very very hands-off, and it's just like you have to tell them every single detail, every single thing to do, um, and they're not really flexible. It does take a little time to. I was fortunate to come across a flexible manufacturer. Like I said, I was introduced to this one, the one that I used for the initial batch, which led to a lot of issues. They actually made off with thousands of dollars from my company. Like, they didn't fulfill an order, and they sent out um, uh, some malfunctioning watches that I also had to refund money for. I didn't do the proper vetting, and they were very hands off. So they weren't invested in the success of my business. They just wanted to make a quick buck. Um, but on the other side, I'm with a company now, that is very invested in my success. Like, even offering you know different suggestions from, like, the latest technology, from the way that a strap is fastened, just showing a more effective way to create that strap, something that that makes the consumer's life a little more, a little easier.
Right. Right.
So, just really, you got to do your homework. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to sit on this podcast and sell a dream to people that it's going to be easy. It's definitely going to take work. But that's what makes the difference between okay and successful.
Yeah.
You gotta get over those obstacles. So it's going to be a ton of them. I mean, I could talk about all mine on here, but there's some that are unforeseen. Some that are specific to industry, um, and you just got to kind of work through it.
Yeah. You definitely won't be able to plan out every single piece of your entrepreneurial journey before you get started? Like some things just happen unexpectedly along the way that you just kind of have to course correct for and handle when they pop up.
Absolutely.
So one thing I actually did want to go back to, you mentioned your initial manufacturer sent out some malfunctioning watches to your customers. So that manufacturer not only handled the production of the watches, but they also handled the packaging of the watches and the shipments.
That's correct. Well, not the shipment. So you can go through a company like their like ShipStation, and there's some other companies out there that do handle the logistics of mailing it out. It definitely takes a lot of work away from the company.
Right.
I'm actually transitioning into that. Now, like we're as our volume increases, it's not something that I want to do is be at the post office every day all day. So it's definitely on the horizon to have a third party handling those transactions, and they do everything from managing your inventory, to shipping out the watches. But having that done at a manufacturer overseas, would be problematic because a lot of times there's a communication barrier, and then the shipping from overseas, to a U.S. address, could take a lot longer. There's so many things that can go
Right.
wrong. So you definitely want to make sure that that third party shipping company is domestic. Um, but yeah, the manufacturer, initially they sent the watches with the packaging included, and it was the packaging was great. There was an issue with a lot of the boxes on the outside being damaged. So that's when I transitioned to actually getting the packaging done from a company here, and then I just get the watches sent from the manufacturer overseas, and then when they get to our facility, we box them up, and put the label on, or whatever, and we just go from there.
Right.
We found that works a little better, and it's actually a little a little more affordable as well.
Okay. So what's the typical price range for your watches?
Well, my watches, they range from 149 to 249. So we're all the watches are of high quality, but we keep them under $250.
Right.
Um, and we do that to remain competitive. Like, we're not in retail stores. We're selling directly to the consumer. So we're cutting out the high retail markups, and that really creates like a transparent relationship with the end user.
Okay. So your your business kind of revolves around the customer and creating these different designs that the customer is going to be interested in enough to go ahead and purchase your watches, right? So
Right.
where do you get this design inspiration to keep coming up with new products?
It's I have a ton of different designs like already done. It takes a little time to get into production because you do want to kind of, like I said, I've only been in business for 2.5 years. So you want to kind of give things some time to get out to the public. You want to start being known for something. You want your brand to be distinguishable before you start venturing into a bunch of other designs, and offering too many options to the customer.
Right.
So my main thing was just making sure that the watch was extremely elegant and just minimalistic. Classic, something that would pretty much remain fashionable for years to come.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the simple design came from. It's not a bulky watch. It's very sleek. We use rich colors. Men and women gravitate toward them because the watches are unisex, and it's just very clean. It's not too loud, but it also does stand out because of some of the colors. It's just a very very striking piece.
Do people actually
And
request any new colors that you don't already have?
yeah, sometimes we get requests, in our email or on social media. And we definitely listen. We definitely want to offer, a product that, that people want, that people are, asking for, especially when we see a color that's coming, through our email consistently. We're like, okay, well, people must really want this, so we'll design it. Um, but we have a few colors that have just been doing really well, and people, are always, um, just pretty much buying them up. The pink actually sold out, which is like, we brought it out, for breast cancer awareness. And I mean, all throughout the year, people are like, "When is the pink coming back out? When is the pink coming back out?" And we try to, we try to keep some of the pieces like limited, edition, just to kind of, build that demand.
Right.
Um, but yeah, simple. I would say, simple is just like the best way to go when it comes to a product. You want something that's gonna, cross, a bunch of different, you know, lines, and something that, that is not too distinguishable, that that it starts to err on the side of trendy, but something that's classic, and kind of stick around.
Okay. Let me ask you quickly about maybe your website. So, did you have
Yeah.
someone put it together for you, or did you do that yourself?
I actually put the website together myself. I do current like I said, the company, we're going through a ton of changes. That's just the nature of growth.
Right.
So we do have a custom, website that I actually hired somebody to build, that will be, I would say, toward the end of the summer, we'll be unveiling. But the current website, I created myself, and I think it works out pretty good too.
Yeah, it looks nice. So,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
so I remember you were reaching out and trying to find ways to kind of share your message. What is it that really made you want to tell your story? Like what makes you want to inspire other people so much?
You know, sometimes people just need to hear it from someone that's doing it. I mean, we're in a time where, like, entrepreneurship is, is trendy. There's a ton of gurus out there, and sometimes, like, you can see those things, but you don't necessarily see it for yourself. I don't consider myself a guru. I just consider myself a normal guy who, was courageous enough to follow his dreams.
Right.
And I just want to, just implant that in everyone. Just like, you don't have to be, some special person, to pursue your dreams. We all have them, but we just have to take action. And that's the only difference between the people that fulfill their dreams and don't, is just taking action. So, you know, I kind of feel like it's my obligation. It's not even, I feel like I don't have a choice. I was able to get over the fears, and get past the mental blocks, and I feel like it's my duty to get other people to do the same thing.
Right. Right. Yeah, that mental block is a killer, especially of
Yeah,
aspiring entrepreneurs trying to get started. A lot of times there's so many fears that hold us back from trying to get started on something that it can kill the business before it even launches. So
absolutely.
that mental aspect has to be right before you even start implementing any strategies that you learn from another entrepreneur or from a book or something that you read. That mental component is the missing link between like somebody who's successful and somebody who gives up and just goes back to their regular 9 to 5 job.
Absolutely.
So, is there any other advice that you maybe missed or we didn't talk about that you wanted to share with somebody who, uh, let's say, has a product idea or uh, things that somebody should avoid on their entrepreneurial journey, or maybe even something they should focus on?
I would say this. I would say, get over fear. It's not real. Completely just lock into what you're trying to do. Remain focused, and go into it with the attitude that it's going to be difficult. I think
Right.
sometimes people just completely underestimate, especially now. Like I said, entrepreneurship is trendy, so everybody wants to be, a business owner, for whatever reason. So, it's it's a lot of it going on. But when you go into it thinking that it's going to be extremely hard. So
Yeah.
that way you're prepared to work at that level, and you're not so disappointed when you run into obstacles because you already anticipated that these things, would happen. So you you know, just kind of scale back and figure out a way around it. But you have to, remain consistent. You have to focus on it, and you have to believe in yourself. So I would say those three things.
Yeah, because there's a lot of
And
people out there who are looking for that instant gratification. So they'll spend a lot of money on somebody's quick start guide or 5 easy steps to start whatever
yeah,
business, and then they'll hit
yeah,
one roadblock and, oh, I thought you told me all the stuff I needed to know.
right.
They'll just give up
Yeah,
right then and there.
Paris, I'm so glad you brought that up because that was me, and there's a lot of people, that the self help industry alone is $1 billion industry. So it's a lot of that self help, self development, education industry. There's a lot of people in it, and there's a lot of people making great money in it. But there's also a lot of people investing in it, trying to become better themselves, but they don't realize that it all starts with the person.
Right.
So there's no those things are great. Like you should definitely be educating yourself. Like I read a ton. I read a ton of stuff. I educate myself all the time. I do invest in conferences and classes and stuff like that. But none of those things make a difference if you are not ready, if you're not prepared, and you don't believe that you can make these things happen.
Right.
So it's just like it's really just you're just buying a bunch of paper because even with all the knowledge, that you're consuming, if you're not applying it and really believing that this could take place, it's just not going to work out. And there are a ton of success stories, but there are even more stories of people that failed because they didn't really believe it. They were just kind of going through the motions. So definitely get your your mental game together. Understand that it's going to be tough. Understand that the fear is not real. So it's just a sign of what you need to do. Follow those signals, and you should be fine. Like I said, if I can do it, I'm still climbing the ladder. There's no such thing as all the way there. You know what I mean? Like you're always going to be climbing because
Right.
there's only two directions you can go in. It's either up or down.
Right.
There's no such thing as maintaining. I'm forever progressing, forever learning and trying to become better. And you have to kind of remain in that mindset.
That's the way it should be. And a not so shameless plug. So I actually wrote a book about this very topic and kind of developing the mindset that you need before you kind of go into implementing these different strategies. So people can go ahead and check that out on Amazon, called The Missing Mindset.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check that out myself actually.
That would be awesome. So, I mean, with that, if you have no further things that you want to mention, I'll go ahead and let you tell everybody where they can find out more about you and maybe even where they can contact or interact with you on social media.
Yeah, definitely. Typically when I do these interviews, I always start with my personal page. I'm the most accessible on Facebook. My name is Marcel Benson, Marcel Benson, Benson. I love, just love meeting like-minded people. Any way that I can encourage or help you along your journey, I'd be more than willing, to get around to you. So please, follow me on there. As far as the company is concerned, it's at Benson Watch. That's at BensonWatch on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome.
There you'll find all our different products, and you'll be able to read a little bit more about the story. And also, we have some amazing things coming up. Please, head to the website bensonwatch.com and sign up for our exclusive members list. This opens you up to being the first to hear about new product offerings, any sales or promotions that we're running. You'll be the first to know, hence exclusive.
I was just about
So
to
please,
ask
please check
when
it out.
I was about to ask when the next launch is going to be for your next collection. But I guess if they sign up for the
Yeah,
email list, then they'll get that info.
right. Well, yeah, they will. but I will say we're definitely doing something toward the end of the summer. It'll be the first of our sports collection.
Okay.
We haven't revealed the look of it yet, but like I said, you join the list, you will be the first to see it.
Sounds like a plan. I hope everybody goes out and joins that list. So, with that, I hope this podcast session has been helpful for somebody out there that's been listening. Be sure to leave comments on what you liked, disliked, and if this has helped you in any way. Head on over to iTunes. Definitely leave an honest review. You can always contact me through the website as well. And I want to thank Marcel Benson from the Benson Watch Company for coming on this episode with me and talking about all this great stuff. Definitely something that you guys can find something relatable to your particular business and implement. So as always, I look forward to serving you guys in the next episode, and build your dreams, or somebody else will hire you to build theirs.
Thanks for listening to the Creative Entrepreneurs Podcast. Join us next time for more great insights. And don't forget to subscribe to the email list to get the latest information and updates.